because a big issue a lot of startups and a lot of businesses try to do is they try to solve a problem that no one has. And that's where a lot of them hit a rut, is they're solving an issue that sounds cool, but it's almost like they're going out of their way to invent an issue. If they just focus on and find an issue that people already have, that's going to go a lot longer way than if they source their own issue by inventing research and framing an issue that frankly no one has.
This is the Snowball Effect. You're listening to the Marketing Playbook series, presented by the Snowball Effect podcast. It's growth done right.
Hey, I'm Todd Jensen, and today I'm really excited to have Addison Houston. He's an R&D specialist at Metaverse Solar, and welcome to the podcast, Addison.
Hey, Todd. Hey, thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's so great to have you. Right as we get going, I like our listeners to just hear a little bit about you. So Addison, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, everyone. My name is Addison Houston. I am based out here in Texas. I am a solar entrepreneur. I have a business that we do solar design, solar education, and solar consultancy. It's called FaithFunFuture. You can go to www.faithfunfuture.com, check us out. We're always active in immersing ourselves in the community and sustainability. I'm passionate about all things sustainability, business, entrepreneurship, imparting, the knowledge and the resources that I have to help other people be successful.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about the things you like to do, Addison.
Thank you. So personally, I've always been, my parents, they always instilled like dedication and hard work and just an appreciation for like reading. So being an avid reader is still something I very much do. I'm actually working my way through a book right now. It's about blitz scaling and it's about business. But outside of like just reading about like entrepreneurial stuff and business, obviously like my faith is very important to me. So, always doing like a scripture or two a day. Also find time to exercise and to definitely serve my community at my local church. And most importantly, like just find opportunities where I can give back and to, speak in other people's lives. And so that's some things that I do.
I love it. Well, I want to get to know your background a little bit and your entrepreneurial journey. So walk us through a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay. So a little bit about me is, so when I was coming out of high school, ever since I was younger, I've always like had an affinity for like design and for entrepreneurship and just, creating technology. Told myself I want to be the next Thomas Edison growing up. And I've always loved like how things work and how the production of things and factories and everything. That was just so cool to me, and robotics. And so coming out of high school, I had the opportunity of going to the University of Houston to study industrial design. The industrial design program, and it's more commonly known as product design, but they specialize in teaching students how to formulate and ideas from the ideation stage to production stage for consumer products, consumer electronics, furniture, clothing, what have you. So it's very multidisciplinary. And I took the route because I've always had an energy and sustainability focused mindset. So that major gave me the opportunity my senior year to actually put together a pretty neat senior thesis for like a solar panel project within rented communities. So that was kind of the birth of that that sharpened my education. And I guess as far as allowing me to formulate how to ideate all the steps of production, how to market my idea, how to do all those things. I've always had the passion for that, but through my undergrad, that definitely sharpened my tool belt for it. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
What a cool background to take something from ideation all the way through and then actually deploying them, marketing them. What a great baseline for your future. So that lands you now where you're at. So tell us a little bit about the projects you've got going on right now.
So currently right now with FaithFunFuture, it's obviously the business has evolved. So when I started it, we started out in design consultancy. So it was more so like product design. So like CAD modeling, and using programs like SolidWorks and different things like that. And then recently we've kind of morphed into more of the residential and commercial scale projects as far as design work for those and consultancy. From just doing graphic design work and product design work, we've morphed into, for example, helping a Metaverse Solar startup. We're helping them kind of generate kind of like a feasibility study right now, and we're helping them with market research as far as gathering data documents from different utility scale installers so they can in turn potentially build out a database that can help streamline in-house processes for utility companies. So that way they have less cancellations on projects, higher FSC rate with installs, less issues. So there's a lot of things. Something I will say, like with entrepreneurship, if you just continue to just attack it every day and just seek opportunities and just continue to network, the opportunities are going to come inbound. I've just been so blessed to be in a high growth industry where these opportunities are, there's so many applications for solar energy and for for basically affordable energy in general. So that's kind of the journey that we've been on. And those are kind of two big projects that we're working on right now at FaithFunFuture.
I love that. And I want to spend just a second more on that. Help our audience understand a little bit about what sets you apart.
So on the consulting side, what makes us different is I have a network of roughly 19 different installers and EPCs, and they all vary as far as like their install capabilities, equipment pricing, as far as what potentially a client might be looking for as far as an install project. And in addition with that, like for example, right now we're working on a property that's multifamily. It's located in the city of Austin. It has 220 units. That's a pretty big install project. That's almost a few megawatts. So that's going to require a massive site survey that needs to be undertaken to make sure that that install goes correctly. And then not to mention, they're looking at, we're looking at how can we utilize government grant opportunities to offset the costs. I feel like I have the best in-house team as far as sourcing a grant writer, sourcing the best installer, and at the end of the day, I'm just seeking to just provide value, and more so on the lead generation side and appointment setting. I feel like we have the best process as far as generating an appointment and not just turning around and just offering that opportunity as a set appointment, because that's what separates us from a lot of basement marketers. Their job ends when they send a spreadsheet, but on that spreadsheet, it has a lot of that gap for the homeowner from being on that spreadsheet, their data being on the spreadsheet to being ready to close is massive. And so what we do is we try to bring them as far along that process as possible without using sales pressure, by means of education and just prospecting and letting them know the financial incentives that are in place for them and their situation. And then just seeing if they have any availability on their schedule. That's what people are willing to pay for. When I was a sales rep and I started doing a little bit of selling on the side, that's what I noticed. I got burned a few times from appointments and leads. I was like, you know what? There's a huge opportunity here and the data supports that. So there's a reason why, 90% of all solar companies by year 2 or 3 go out of business, is because they don't have enough opportunities being generated to go to install. So there's a huge opportunity there as far as where FaithFunFuture can position ourselves within the market as far as being that premier appointment provider. And then the biggest thing is working towards building a supply chain that can help meet demand, but as well keep the price low and affordable. So that way, a lot of these smaller sales organizations can participate and can afford the product that you're seeking to have. That's how you're going to grow market wise. You're not going to grow, if you're charging an exorbitant amount or different things like that. So those are kind of the things that we feel we set ourselves apart as far as in the consultancy and lead generation side of things.
So Addison, what problems do you help people solve?
So the problems I help people solve primarily is, I guess, just cover that education gap. A lot of people, like I mentioned, are interested in solar, but they don't know where to start. Whether that's a startup that's looking to incorporate it in their product or service, or if that's a homeowner that's looking at getting it on their home or business, property owner looking at getting it on their home or business. So a lot of people just need the education. It's in the year 2024, solar is not a foreign thing. There's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of doubt if it's feasible. It's kind of still the wild, wild west. The industry is very much in, say, adolescence. But, pretty soon the policy is catching up with the technology, and we're going to have an intersection where technology and policy, once those intersect, it's going to be a lot of people who are being able to afford it. And the technology is going to be able to offset a lot of people's utility costs. So kind of the value that I'm seeking to bring is educating people, whether they're homeowners or business owners themselves, on how the best way that solar and sustainable energy can be incorporated into their lives.
I really liked how you explained that the industry is kind of in this adolescent phase, right? It's in this awkward teenager phase. What a perfect time to have somebody that understands the industry like you do to kind of walk them through and educate them and fill in that gap. Now I want to pivot over to my favorite part of the conversation. I want to pick your brain in what I call the start and stop segment. This is where I ask you a question and say, what do people need to start doing? And what do they need to just knock it off? What do they need to stop doing? So I just want to ask you a few questions. Are you game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So my first question, to stay innovative as a team, as an entrepreneur, as a new business, what do people need to start and what do they need to stop doing, in your opinion?
That's an excellent question. To stay innovative, I think the biggest hurdle that I'm seeing a lot of young startups is innovation doesn't always mean you have the next save the world idea. There's always lots of those. Oftentimes being innovative just means doing something better that's currently being done, or finding a value proposition in a system or an industry that already exists. Because the big issue a lot of startups and a lot of businesses try to do is they try to solve a problem that no one has. And that's where a lot of them hit a rut, is they're solving an issue that sounds cool, but it's almost like they're going out of their way to invent an issue. If they just focus on and find an issue that people already have, that's going to go a lot longer way than if they essentially try to source their own issue by inventing research and framing an issue that frankly no one has. I see that from a lot of startups myself.
I love that. So really, rather than sell people on a problem and then sell the anecdote to that, respond to a need that already exists.
Yes, sir.
And that people have identified. Do you have an example that comes to mind, Addison, of where you were able to help somebody do that, or where you see a solution rise up to a problem that already exists rather than create the problem and then the solution?
Yeah, we're all familiar with the rise of AI and how that's impacting business, correct? I've seen a lot of these AI startups pop up on the lead generations aspect, where they're essentially framing it as digital door knocking is this term I've heard, which I just personally, I couldn't cringe harder to, but it's called digital door knocking, is the technique where essentially they just run a bunch of leads through a chat bot and they seek to set appointments that way. You know, the other thing about business is if it's easy to do, it's going to be harder to sell. And so I'm not knocking the use of them utilizing technology for its purpose to scale their efforts, but it just becomes very hard when you build your entire business off of one vertical and I'm a fan of AI, right? But it becomes difficult to build a business off of a vertical where the policy inevitably coming this July means you can't do robocalls, for example, but they built their whole business around robocalls. You know, the thing you're offering is more calls can be made for solar. Well, then you're going to have to go about that the traditional way, but instead of trying to have a higher sit rate by using AI is not the solution. It's your scripting, or it's the data lead. It's, where you're sourcing the data from. So a lot of these issues, I feel like people are using technology because it's trendy and it sounds cool, but there's really no fit for it. They're susceptible to be phased out policy wise, depending on, as regulations catch up, like I said, to technology.
Let me ask you this other question, because I know you've got some experience with go-to-market strategies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to roll out a successful GTM, go-to-market strategy, what do people need to start doing and what do they need to stop?
What they need to start doing is they need to better identify who the end customer is going to be, because that's going to affect who's buying it. There's a difference between a buyer and a customer, and they need to start doing that. And then they need to stop, I'd say, thinking that their product's for everyone. And this is it's not like within solar, but just entrepreneurship as a whole. Everyone is not your customer. Just because you see a lot of people of varying ages and backgrounds use it doesn't mean everyone's your customer. All those people are united by a certain problem. So just in general, when it comes to a business, you need to start focusing more intently on who your buyer versus who your customer is. And then stop just thinking this is for everyone. Everyone's my demographic. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Addison, I couldn't agree with you more. If you ask somebody who their market is and they say everybody, that they're not allocating their resource as focused as they need to be. Maybe with limitless resources, we could market this to everybody, but we definitely need to make a decision and focus our energy on a certain group. So I love that. I really want to leverage some of your entrepreneur experience. So to become a better leader, a sales leader, or an entrepreneur, what do people need to start doing, and what do they need to stop?
To be a better entrepreneur, an approach that I found to be successful is, and I know a lot of people do this in their own various ways, but don't be afraid to network. I know that sounds very cliche, but it's the difference between success and unsuccess is, from what I've seen, aside from knowing who your customer is and having a stronger value proposition, is having more inbound opportunities. I actually had the opportunity and the privilege to recently go back to my alma mater, University of Houston, and I actually spoke about this a few weeks ago to the kids there. But I had the opportunity to go there and essentially articulate the importance that I've seen and maintaining a wide network and connecting. Oh my gosh, the amount of opportunities you get inbound from just putting your name out there and just connecting with people and showing them your value. You become a better entrepreneur yourself. The more you have to introduce who you are, the greater the, circle you build, you're able to expand yourself, and people are able to, hey, that guy, he knows this. I'm gonna hit him up for this. It's very hard to do that when you have a limited network. So the thing I encourage a lot of people, like I did students about a week ago at my alma mater at University of Houston, was leverage technology platforms for what they're for. Stop just being a consumer of the internet and start being a producer of on the internet. Start marketing content. Stop just consuming content and actually put out content. That's the biggest way you're going to see an influx of people to your brand, because your personal brand is important. The way people view you is important. The way they view your LLC, the way they view your sole proprietorship, the way they view your lemonade stand, it's important. It's important. So I'd say definitely start doing that more, leveraging technology, and stop just being a consumer and be more of a producer. According to what I've seen, you'll start seeing an inflow of inbound opportunities, which is huge as far as energy and time.
What a fantastic answer. Pivoting over here just a little bit more from what we can do as entrepreneurs and as business owners and as marketers, and now kind of shifting to our customers. At Snowball here, we take a lot of pride in being customer centric and arming companies with the tools they need to give their customers a voice. So in your opinion, for a company to become more customer centric in the solar industry, what do people need to start doing, and what do they need to stop doing?
They need to start being more educational and meeting homeowners where they are in their with their objections, as far as they handle objections, as far as they handle the different scenarios, and stop being so focused on just trying to get a quick sell, because people aren't dumb. They can smell that a mile away. And I think that's what's given the solar industry in particular a bad rap. Is it's almost like loan sharks. It's just like there's a piece of meat in the tank, and then just all the killer whales are circling it. And homeowners can smell that from a mile away. And I think that's what turns a lot of, I saw the stat, only 5% of US residences are outfitted with solar. There's still 95% of all homes and businesses don't have it, that can have it. And a large, I guess, facet of why that exists is, one, I can easily point to from my experience as a sales rep and the people that FaithFunFuture provides opportunities for, is they're quick to kill the deal because they're too hungry. They're too overzealous. They don't answer questions. They just push, steamroll the customer, don't listen to what they have to say. And then they wonder why they only have a 5% close rate quarter to quarter. That's kind of some things I've seen. So they need to start being more educational and stop being and cut out the sales pressure. That's going to go a lot further.
I love that. I think that's such a nice mind shift, and to really come in there to say, I'm here to partner with you and fill in any gaps of knowledge and arm you with the information, and then let you make the decision. I think you're onto something, that people have a BS detector, right? They can tell there's a sales detector that goes off when they can tell when somebody's hungry for the sale, or if they're hungry to just share information and educate so that the person can make the right decision.
And that impacts the quality of, if you're in lead generation, that impacts the quality of a lead. That impacts the quality of generating the opportunity. You want that person to be more sales qualified, SQL, high buy intent. They're aware of the situation they're entering in. They're enthusiastic about the situation they're entering in, because mostly all you see is just people barreling, sales reps, call center reps, just barreling towards a solution, or barreling towards their end goal. Like I've said, and like you've reiterated, people, People aren't dumb nowadays, but that's something that Faith and Future seeks to fix.
Well, I think that really plays really well into my next question, which is about word of mouth marketing. Because if you're there to educate and to inform, and you don't feel like you're overbearing someone with your agenda, there really feels to be a greater tendency for that person to share that good experience. I think they want one of these really good, informative sales experience, like people want oxygen. They're so tired of being sold all the time. And
Mhm.
that really informs whether or not they're going to promote you and these customers and these prospects becoming your best advocates. But I want to hear from you. To build a company via word of mouth marketing, what
Yes,
do
sir.
these companies need to start doing and what do they need to stop?
The value with word of mouth marketing is it's essentially the most valuable inbound customer that you can get because they've been influenced by their background, and their background who influenced them did so almost involuntarily because they felt good intuitively about your product or service. And the beauty about it is it's 99% free. You're not having to expend, there's almost zero cost of acquisition. It takes a while to build a brand and to build awareness for your brand. But with word of mouth marketing, I'd say the biggest thing to see an increase in your business is you just need to start focusing on, like I said, just bringing value, not be so hungry to make a sale, educate the homeowner if it's solar. So if they want to focus on the product first and then the money will come. People already don't remember, especially in the solar industry, people don't remember. Most people forget who even installed their home. They just know that they have solar panels and they could probably tell you what brand they are or not. And that's kind of, outside of us and what we do, that's what any brand wants is when people think of pizza, when they think of being an auto mechanic, when they think of dentistry, they want to think of your brand, just like anything else. I mean, look at all the big players today in the industry. When you think of internet, you think of Google. When you think of a cell phone, you think of the iPhone, Apple.
It's been a pleasure to have you here. And you said a word that I really love, which is value. And that's what you've brought with the information that you've shared. But let me ask you this before I let you go. If you had 30 seconds with a business owner and you wanted to help them improve and grow,
Mhm.
what would you focus that 30 seconds on? What would you tell?
Those 30 seconds, I would say, as a business owner, what's important, prioritize that. Whatever you're the best at, whatever you spend the most time, whatever you spend the most time doing, you will be better at. If you spend more time focusing on your product and building relationships with people, that's going to pay 10 times dividends, from your customers, from relationships that come inbound, from opportunities that come inbound. If you're trying to juggle too many different plates and focus on too many things, you're going to drop all the plates. So if I could just encourage someone with that, it would be to focus on what you're the best at and attack that wholeheartedly. You're not going to sell something very well if you're not passionate about it. So if I can encourage people with this, it would be whatever you're good at, focus 100% on.
I love that. Addison, if somebody wants to reach out to you, they want to learn from you, they want to follow you, they want to engage with your educational content or just pick your brain, they want to work with you, what's the best way for somebody to connect with you, Addison?
You can find me on LinkedIn is a popular one. Addison Houston. I'm Addison Houston on LinkedIn. My Instagram is at Addi, ADDI.Houston. Be sure to check out FaithFunFuture, www.faithfunfuture.com. We have a lot of exciting projects going on right now. So yeah, be sure to find us on all these platforms. Just Google Addison Houston. I'll probably pop up. I'm the only one. And yeah, let's rock and roll. But if you guys put your mind to it, you can do it. Opportunities will come if you just continue to stay faithful and pursue them, and they're going to come. So that's just my encouragement to everyone. I just, do the best you can every day and opportunities will flow.
Love it. Thank you so much, Addison. I sure appreciate it. And thanks for joining the Snowball Effect podcast.
Thanks, Todd. Best of luck with you and your business endeavors as well.
Love it. Thank you, everybody. And join us next time for the Snowball Effect. We'll see you.